Hi everyone, we are Group 11 and we have chosen salinization and sustainability as our poster topic. We will be introducing first the causes of salinization, followed by the effects it brings on crop yield and food supply. We will also talk about the results it has on other sectors in long run, and finally, the sustainable solutions to the problem. So now, Jintong could tell us more about why salinization happens.
Hi everyone, I'm going to talk about the causes of salination. Soil salination have two parts. The first one is irrigation. Salt introduced by irrigation water is stored within the root zone because of insufficient leaching. As time passes, the salts accumulate in the root zone. If the quality of irrigation water is poor, such as rich in salts, it worsens the problem. And if the soil is clay and sodic, more salts is retained. After that, if we have a high evaporative condition, we can accelerate irrigation-induced salinity. In many irrigation regions, rising saline groundwater interacting with the soil in the root zone can compound the problem. The second cause is tree clearance. As you can see from the graphic, when the precipitation comes, deep roots of the trees absorb water, evapotranspiration is low, and the water table is also low. Hence, the salty groundwater is kept under the ground. However, after clearing, no more deep-rooted vegetation absorbs the precipitation, so it infiltrates the soil. Percolation is the process of water moving down through the soil under gravitational force. Since less trees absorb the water underground, water table moves up. This photo is taken from Western Australia, where it suffers from dry land salination. Trees are all dead due to the high salt content and dry season. Only a few shrubs survive. By looking at the fences, we know the land was previously used for ranching cattle and sheep. But why the land is abandoned? Because it has a yield reduction of 25 to 30%. So, what are the effects of salination on plants and soil? There would be more than I had listed. Firstly, osmotic effect. Salty soil makes the diffusion of water into the roots more difficult, so plants may suffer from desiccation. Secondly, high level of sodium and chloride can be toxic to plants, which causes leaf burn, necrotic patches, dying spots of leaves, and defoliation, loss of leaves. Thirdly, land would look barren, so the aesthetic value would decrease. There would be a reduction on tourism. Fourthly, large trees would be replaced by weeds, so there would be a reduction of biodiversity. Last but not least, reduction of yields in cropland and pasture will reduce the income, hence impact the economy. From this graphic, you can see salination affects 100 plus countries.
So let me share about the effect on food. Salt-affected soils reduce the ability of crops to absorb water and the availability of trace elements. They also concentrate on ions that are toxic to plants and can degrade soil structures. There will be declines in agricultural productivity, water quality, soil biodiversity, and soil erosion. Salt-affected soils are less able to buffer and filter pollutants. If the salt content in the soil water is too high, the water may flow back to the soil from the roots of the plants. This causes plants to dehydrate, leading to reduced yields and even plant death. Shallow water tables can increase the risk of flooding. Soil in this situation have limited capacity to absorb rainfall, resulting in high risk of runoff. This can result in damage to roads, agricultural land, and wetlands. Salinity affects production in crops, pastures, and trees by interfering with nitrogen uptake, reducing growth and stopping plant reproduction. According to this picture, we can see that under soil salinization, the healthy soils will turn to saline soils by having nutrient imbalance, and will finally lead to sodic soils and massive structure in the subsoil. The output will decrease as plants cannot absorb nutrients and grow, which is also decreasing biodiversity. Using a simple example, it's okay for us humans to intake some salt within a normal range, However, if we absorb or immerse in too many salts, it will affect our somatic functions or even cause some serious diseases. That's the same case for plants. If they cannot absorb enough nutrition, they cannot grow or may even die. And as we can see in the poster, the land will be like on the top left-hand corner and the crops will just like die away and the leaves will turn white. And as we can see in this slide, soil salinization will cause dehydration. Water supply will be affected. Agricultural land and wetlands are damaged. The food production will finally decrease.
As you can see that there are so many negative impacts brought by salinization. For sustainability, improving soil salinity is very crucial. From this picture, we can see that there are 4 elements involved in soil conservation. Here, we'll talk about some technological methods and sustainable methods mainly focusing on smart crop management and residue retention. That is precision water management, use of information and communication technologies, low evaporation, and less salinity. As talked in the previous slide, insufficient leaching will cause salinization. However, over-irrigation will increase water table, bringing salts into the root zone area. The salts will remain in the soil where water is lost to evaporation. Therefore, water control is very important. Regarding technological strategies, subsurface drainage can be used to discharge excess water. Here is the pictures demonstrating it. The GIS, that is the Geographical Information System, can be used to track water content in soil and decide when to irrigate and the amount of irrigation water. This can help avoid over-irrigation. The drip irrigation system can also help avoid over-irrigation. It can control the amount of water by allowing water to drop slowly to the root zone area. Enough water can be added to the irrigation process to promote soil leaching. Use fresh water with gypsum if possible. It is because fresh water can carry less salts and gypsum can increase the removal of salts. In some places, farmers may not have enough capital conducting technological strategies. Here are some cheaper and sustainable strategies. Cover cropping. There is plant some cover crops to cover the soil. This can reduce the soil salt accumulation. When the water table is very high, the cover crops can use the water and draw down the water table to prevent it from rising, carry with salt. When the weather is very hot, the cover crops can slow down the rate of evaporation from the soil. This can reduce the salt drawn to the surface. Restraining from deep tillage can also help not to transfer soil salts to the root zone area. Moreover, we can plant some salt-tolerant crops like wheat, which can be better adapted to the environment without greatly affecting food production.
We hope our poster and explanation have given you a better idea of the concept of salinization, as well as more understanding on sustainable farming methods. In fact, salinization is just a single example of the deteriorating environmental impacts caused by human behaviors. Climate change is happening, and new impacts are made every second in different corners of the world. Our group believes we should never underestimate the issue. Let's just recall the cause and effect relationship of how human exploitation leads to salinization, which will eventually affect food supply and agriculture for mankind. Everything in the system is correlated. If we keep neglecting the consequences of our unsustainable behaviors, be it the tiny habit of using disposable plastics, or the more detrimental acts of fossil fuel operations for the city, we could realistically foresee society collapse in years. And the next generation of ours could have no way of living happily because of all the bad impacts we bring. I guess everyone knows how to make sustainable choices and practices. It's only the willingness that's missing. So start from today, try to make small changes, and together we can build a more sustainable future for our next generations. This is the end of our presentation. Following are the references we made use of.